Hello everyone, my name is Ina. I live in mountain village in Carpathian, and today I am going to tell you about what winter in the mountain is like. But first I'd like to ask you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, to like this and the previous videos, and to leave comments below them. Thank you. When it snows outside, you have to clean the porch every day, and sometimes even several times. This is in the best interest of the residents of the house, because you can quickly find yourself in a snowy prisoner if you do not clean the shovel away the snow drifts. The intensity of precipitation in mountainous area in winter is much higher than in value. This is due to the peculiarities of atmospheric pressure. That's why it's quite common in the Carpathian region to see not a single millimeter of snow on the ground in Colombia or Ivano-Frankivsk, with the sunshine and temperatures above freezing in January, while in Kosiv or Verkhovina the snow cover is 30 to 50 centimeters. But this has its advantages. Here in the mountains you can still enjoy a real winter. The mountains in this weather are simply magical, fabulous. While the wind is howling on the hills, this is peace and quiet in the forest area. It's a great time to walk, but you should always remember that winter mountains are unpredictable and do not forgive carelessness. Locals know that you can still walk on small hills here, but you shouldn't climb the high mountains in winter, especially without experience and appropriate equipment. The kitchen is warm and comfortable, the stove is well heated, and the wood is crackling, creating a special atmosphere that can only exist in winter. Of course, stoking the stove every day is also hard work. You need to keep an eye on it constantly and periodically add firewood, but you get used to it in winter. At the very least, the stove in the house gives you a certain autonomy and independence from central communications. I warmed up a bit and hurry outside again. Here in a separate shed, I need to pick up some sauerkraut for today's lunch, but I still have to get to it through the high snow drifts. The snow is still falling. It seems that it will go on forever. Also, in fact, the Highlanders do not have time to look back as spring comes. High rubber boots with insulation inside are the best footwear for the yard. You can put them on very quickly, they do not let moisture in, and they are always dry and comfortable. I have been wearing these boots for a long time. I can already be considered a real Highlander. Before entering the house from the street, I have to clean off the snow. This is a rule that I memorized very quickly. Otherwise, the house will always be wet, and we don't need that. Now we can start cooking today's dinner. Sauerkraut must first be rinsed with cold water. This way it won't be too sour. We leave it in this form for a while. And now I take out the smoked ribs and cut them into small pieces into the pot. By the way, the summer and winter cuisine of the Highlanders is very different. In summer, the local diet is full of vegetables: tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, beets, and eggplants. They contain a lot of vitamins, so the locals stock up on them in advance. In summer, they also eat a lot of cheese and dairy products, but in winter, the diet is much more nutritious, with meat, cereals, and root vegetables. Today I am cooking just such a dish which gives a lot of energy and helps to keep you warm even in severe frost. Drain the first broth from the smoked ribs, then pour water back into the pot with the meat and boil it. This will make the broth clear and flavorful. Now Halina and I are preparing the roast. I clean and chop the onions and she takes out the lard. Now we are going to fry the bacon. To do this, you need to cut a good piece of lard into pieces and melt it into a frying pan. This is a great base for any frying. In winter, Ukrainians actively cook with lard. It is a great source of high-quality fats, which are so necessary for the functioning of the whole body. The other inhabitants of this house enjoy the snowy weather. The cows in the stable are chewing on hay non-stop, and the horse Zorka is in a hurry to go for a walk. Vasil, Halina's son, rides her even in winter. He knows how to harness a horse very well. He does it very quickly and skillfully. This family has both a cart and a winter sled. They are convenient for carrying hay and firewood when it is snowing outside. They can easily travel along mountain trails and roads. Zorka obediently stands and waits for her owner. She already knows that she will have to work, but she enjoys it. Also, sometimes even a horse wants to play a little naughty.
Allora,
Meanwhile, I continue to tinker in the kitchen. The cabbage is no longer too sour and salty, and it needs to be squeezed out of excess moisture very well. It is convenient to do it with your hands. Halina adds chopped potatoes and chopped carrots to the broth, and I fry onions with bacon. Vasa is already back with a huge haystack. It will be enough for several days to feed both the cows and the mare. But now it all needs to be unloaded. It's good that neighbors come to help. It's much easier to work together. Meanwhile, dinner is almost ready. All that's left is to add a little corn gravy to the soup to make it even more rich and nutritious. I also add salt, pepper, and various spices to taste. The room is immediately filled with incredible aroma. Hutzul cuisine is quite simple, based on local products that have been grown here in the mountains since ancient times. Of course, these dishes are very different from Mediterranean or French cuisine, but they're incredibly tasty. The combination of ingredients here is such that each of them complements each other. The taste of the finished dish is relieved gradually, but just believe me, this soup would immediately become your favorite once you try it, and for this, you need to come to the Carpathians. We have boiled potatoes that need to be quickly peeled. They are hot and smell incredibly delicious. It immediately takes me back to my childhood. Just look at how these potatoes are steaming.
Кожному по дві. так що завиїжджав.
Це добре, я не зав'язав, бо не подобає.
Все.
But it's time to sit down to dinner. We pour everyone a plate of fresh soup. No one refuses this dish. The ribs give off an incredible flavor, which makes the appetite wake up with renewed vigor. Everyone can add crackling or sour cream to their plate if they want, and potatoes can be eaten instead of bread. Another day in Carpathian's village is over. Thank you for spending it with me.
Не класти.
Чук-чук.
Трошки мені треба солі. І цибульку олія така добре їсти.